Kevin, how you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, Alan. How are you?
I am doing very, very well. Thank you for joining us. And let's talk tech news with Kevin Richards. Kevin, by the way, the CEO and owner of Ventura Web Design. And by way of disclosure, of course, they produce the AlanStock.com page, which is just fantastic. And now you got all the story. Let's talk about some of this stuff. I know you said that a lot of things today have to do with governmental action. And I know tell me about the Department of Transportation lawmakers wanting to regulate apps that deliver directions. What's this all about?
Well, the Department of Transportation claims that they already have the ability to regulate apps that control navigation, just like they can control the automakers, but they want to put it into law so there's no question that they have that authority. And what they're trying to do really is from their point of view, they want to make sure that the apps that are created are designed in a safe manner. Most specifically, they want to make sure that you're not using your apps while you're driving, but that kind of raises a problem if you're using your smartphone as your navigation, say using Google Maps.
Or Siri.
Or exactly, using the Apple Maps version as well, or there's another one called Waze that tries to tell you how to get to your destination and avoid traffic jams based upon current data that it has. And Waze actually you and I have talked about this before, it actually gets its data from users who are driving. So you can be driving somewhere and you can say, I'm in a traffic jam at, Lake Mead in Buffalo, and people who are, navigating, whose navigation has planned to take them through that intersection will automatically reroute them. And so the Department of Transportation wants to get their hands in that and start controlling that. And the interesting thing about that is, you always want to follow the money, and you look at who's backing this proposed legislation, and it's the automakers.
Wow.
So the automakers are doing that, we assume, because the in-car navigation systems are really expensive. They add $1,500, $2,000 to the cost of your car. You don't necessarily need to do that anymore. You've got your Google Maps right in your hand.
Oh, so follow the money. I did notice, by the way, you said about they can control what you see on your map. I once tried to look up Area 51 and all the areas surrounding it, and they have all that blocked out. I mean, not Area 51 as much as some of the other areas around it. Really strange.
Yeah, Google will actually do that. You can, if you have a valid reason, specifically a governmental reason, they will block out and blur areas of their maps.
Yeah, well, they don't want us to know what's up there right now. We'll talk to Tina about that more someday. All right, the FAA has said drones cannot be used for commercial purposes. I just found this out. And what does this mean to the pizza deliverers? And what does this mean to the people over at the Cosmopolitan who are delivering a bottle of vodka to a party and taking a picture of it for $20,000? I said $20,000. That's mighty expensive vodka there.
It better be really good.
Better be a great martini.
So since 2007, the FAA has said that they can control the use of these drones, and they refer to them as model aircraft. And they've stated that commercial use of these drones is prohibited. And unfortunately for them, in March, a federal judge struck down that rule, stating that the FAA didn't take public opinion before making that rule, which is part of the process that they need to follow. So that rule has currently been struck down. But then, of course, in a clarification, the FAA said, no, we're still enforcing that. And not only are we going to enforce it, we're also going to mention. They didn't mention Amazon by name, but they didn't really need to. They said delivering of packages to people for a fee is not allowed. But also, if somebody offers free shipping in association with a purchase or other offer, it would also be construed that is illegal because that's in the furtherance of a business purpose. So
what about these delivery of this vodka at the Cosmo? That would be illegal, and delivering pizzas would be illegal also.
It sounds like it would be to me, and it's the FAA has really taken a hard line. They listed out a lot of other things. Realtors can't use these drones to take pictures of properties they're trying to sell. You can't receive money if you're demonstrating aerobatics with your model aircraft or your drone. Another interesting use is that farmers could actually fly their drones over their fields to find out where they need to be watering more. They're really limiting it. They're forcing those farmers, for example, to continue using really expensive aircraft.
All right. Well, two things. I mean, I don't mind limiting these drones so you can't use them for commercial purposes. I don't want to see them all over the place. And the other thing is, the other day there was a lady in, oh gosh, I want to think it was Washington, maybe Oregon, Washington. I think it was Washington, where she had one come up outside of her apartment window, and apparently it was looking into a window, and she was undressing and whatever, and they were taking pictures. She ran downstairs, and the people were quickly putting up the all their camera equipment and everything else. And it appears that they were trying to use a drone to take pictures of her in the all together. I mean, so I have issues about these drones too. And we got enough spying going on with the government. We don't need to add a spying by another 300 million people in the country.
Well, the problem is, though, in that particular instance, that wouldn't be addressed by this particular FAA regulation.
Well, it should be.
Well, and I agree with that. I think it's a very concerning time. I mean, we're almost to the point where we have satellites that can actually view what we're doing live, and at some point that might be available to us for either for a fee or for free.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! All right, stay with me. I've got a lot more, and plus, boy, something that you told me that I was very happy about by yourself. We'll talk about that in just a moment as well. Tech News with Kevin Richards continues in just a moment. Right now, joining us on the KDWN Live line is Kevin Richards with our Tech News of the Week. Appreciate being with us. Let's talk real quickly about the Google, I know, has purchased a satellite company. Tell me about that and what it's going to be used for.
They did. They purchased a company called Skybox, and Skybox has launched one satellite for themselves, and it's an HD satellite. It's able to get really good, high-quality definition video and send it back to Earth. And in conjunction with that, because the government certainly loves Google, at the same time, they have lifted the restrictions, or partially relaxed the restrictions is a better way of saying it, on the images that companies are allowed to share from satellite imagery. So previously, the restriction was 50 centimeters would be equivalent to 1 pixel on your screen. They've now lowered that to 31 centimeters. And what that means is basically going from about 1.5 feet to just about 1 foot is a pixel. And a way to think about that is from a satellite, if the satellite was maybe looking at your office right now, it could see you and your desk kind of sitting there. But the new imagery will actually allow people to kind of identify what's on your desk.
Wow, really?
So, yeah, Google's got this company, and what they're doing is, they've got, like I said, one satellite. They plan to get about 24 of them up there. And what we think they're planning to do is make it so you can get more data about what's happening real time.
Now, how do you access that in your computer? What kind of an app do you have?
Well, nobody can access it right now. It's something that Skybox has held to themselves. And
you're teasing me then.
Well, exactly. And they, the Skybox told Wall Street Journal recently that they use their technology to track movements of trucks in and out of the factories operated by Foxconn, which is the factory and the company that produces the iPhone. So if you think about how you could use this technology, for example, you could put your satellite over all the different Walmart Supercenter locations, say, during Christmas time, and you could gauge how many cars are in that parking lot, and then that would be a really good real-time indicator of the sales that may or not be happening in that Walmart.
All right. So will there be live images available eventually on Google Maps?
That is the thought, and that's what we're expecting to have happen eventually. And it's one of those things where you've got to decide, is that something that you think is acceptable as a country? I mean, do you want somebody to be able to log in from their computer, watch your house real time, see you out in the backyard at your pool, see you get in your car and leave your house?
No. No, I answered the question. You asked the question. I'm very clear. No, the answer is absolutely not. I don't. And I hope they prevent that. I mean, I love technology, but, there also is an issue of privacy as well, and that's something that we've got to be concerned with. We go too far, you're not going to put the genie back in the bottle.
Yep, and the technology is pretty much there, so it's only a matter of time before this question becomes a reality.
All right, I've only got a few seconds left, but real quickly, you made a big switch recently, didn't you?
Oh, I did. I refer to it as following Alan's stock and following the leader here. We are now a Mac company over at Ventura Web Design.
What made you think about that, really?
Well, it really came down to, unfortunately, a hard drive crash. And so
you and Lois Lerner, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I knew you'd bring that up. We didn't lose our emails, though.
Neither did she.
We had a hard drive crash, and what it really came down to was the service that the PC companies were able to provide. I was able to go get a Mac in about an hour and be back up and operational. The PC is still kind of sitting on the desk.
Yes.
It was time. There's no question that the internet is really where all the apps are going to live in the future, and most of them currently do now. So you really don't need a PC to be doing all the business operations that you once did.
Absolutely. Did you get Apple Care?
No, I went ahead and took the risk. I skipped out on that.
Can you get it now or not?
I think I can.
I would absolutely. I encourage you. Q shaking his head. Yes, you've got to do it. When you call Apple to get service there, it's going to blow your mind what it's like. You've never had a service company on the phone treat you like they treat you. It is beyond belief. I'm not being paid to say this. I'm telling you my own experience. Q shaking his head. Kathy shaking her head. We all understand. You go get Apple Care. You will be grateful. I guarantee you. Tech News with Kevin Richards. You want to get hold of him? Go to allenstock.com. On the right-hand side of the page, you'll see the little Ventura web design logo. Click onto that, and you will be able to get a hold of Kevin and the folks at Ventura Web Design. Hey, Kevin, thank you. We're off next week with July 4th, but be back the following week. So have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Hey, you too. It's always great to be with you.
Take care. Thank you very, very much. Kevin Richards joining us from Ventura Web Design.